did they do? What did they do? They explained our
Yes. What did they do? This is Information Man. I want to first thank everybody out there listening to me on YouTube, Speaker.com, iHeartRadio, Google Music Play, podcasting. In this broadcast, I just played you the audio from the incident that took place, in Philadelphia over this week. 2 black men were harassed by the police. They were minding their own damn business at a Starbucks on 1804, I think they say, Bruce Street in Philadelphia. And from what I understand, this is a pretty agentified area in Philadelphia. It's a pretty exclusive area where white folks congregate. And I guess these 2 black men, these Negroes, as white folks would deem them to be, had no right being in there, waiting on their business partner to do a business transaction. That's right. This is the Information Man coming at you because I'm going to put my foot in this. I'm going to tell it like it is, put it where the goats can get it always. You see, these black men were mistreated, mishandled. Okay, we got all kind of reports coming out now. Now, one of the things that I thought was interesting is that you've got all these black men in leadership involved in this situation. A matter of fact, one of the commanding officers on the site, a black man, police officer in Philadelphia, he's the one that gave the word, go ahead and arrest these 2 brothers. Now, it was reported that they were causing a disturbance. And the manager, the despicable manager of the Starbucks store, goes by the name Zach. Okay, and I'm going to put his photo, as you can see right there. And they were saying that these black men were causing a disturbance. Okay, and as you can hear in the audio that I begin this program, this broadcast, is the white people are in the Starbucks saying, what did they do? Okay. Now, from what I understand, it was a Caucasian or white woman who contributed to this going viral because she took her camera phone, showed you the footage of them being arrested. Now, if you notice in the footage, those of you that had a chance to see the live footage, they didn't put up a fight. They weren't battling. The only reports that we get is that they refused to leave the Starbucks when the manager said that he would call the police. And aren't they citizens too? Don't they have the right to stand their ground and say, hey, we didn't do anything wrong, so I'm not going anywhere. Now, when you are a black man in America, a black melanated person in America, you're not going to get justice. You're not going to be treated fairly. You're going to be mistreated, mischaracterized. Okay. And we live in a country, in a society where white supremacy runs the day. Okay. Because in America, we are culturally conditioned to see white as superior and black as inferior. And as a manifestation of that cultural conditioning, we will underestimate, undervalue, and marginalize black people. And even black people will do it to themselves, which is exactly what the police commissioner did. Okay, Mr. Richard Ross, the police commissioner of Philadelphia, is a brother. That's right. And he was, in my opinion, I'm going to play the audio, minimizing, underestimating and undervaluing the 2 black men. Okay. Now, he states in his auditorial statement, and I'm going to play for you, that these 2 brothers were basically berating the police when they showed up saying, oh, what are you guys going to do with your $40,000 a year salary? Okay. Now, even if they made such speculated statements, alleged statements, allegedly, but we don't know if it's true. Police lie so much when they let in this history of this country right now. even if they made those statements, that's not warranted. There's nothing under the law that says you get arrested for that. But if you are black, a melanated complected person, you're going to be getting treated a lot different. Now, what we're dealing with in America is that we are at an all-time high of being attacked. You have a young African-American male, young king, okay, who goes out and knocks on the door trying to find directions to a particular high school, I believe. And all of a sudden, he gets bullets shot at him. He could have been a statistic. He could have been another Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, these type of individuals in the black community that had been slain by police. He could have been a statistic. Even his mother said that. Okay. So what's going on in American society is that we are under attack as a people, as black people. We are being impacted by this society that we live in. It's a society that's becoming very dangerous for us to live in. Okay. We are behind enemy lines. One of the things that we have been lulled to sleep to believe is that we as black people in America are citizens. We got emancipated. They had to change the laws to give us emancipation. Emancipation is not true freedom and justice and equality, which we don't have. In black people, we operate off of a pineal gland, which gives us empathy and sympathy. And there are those that are against us who don't have operating pineal glands that are effective. They're castratized. There's nothing there. They're not melanized. And therefore, there's no empathy and sympathy when you come to our plight as black people in America. So let me get all over this because I'm going to play the audio. I'm going to play an audio from a brother that lives in the Philadelphia area who explains on a show that I frequently listen to. I got to give a shout out to brother Jason Black of the Black Channel. And this brother called up his program and basically broke down the area in the Spruce 1804 Spruce area, Spruce, I think it's called. And he's going to clarify it for me in the audio. He's going to give you a breakdown of the area. It's an area occupied by gentrification of white folks being in the community. OK, and usually when you have gentrification in a community, you will have a increase in police because they want to protect the fine citizens that they deem are citizens. And it ain't black folks. Just keep that in mind. I'm going to get all over. There's also a report. Let's keep this in mind that one of the arresting cops. OK, now you've got the black commanding officer and you have the black police commissioner in Philadelphia, PA. Okay, that's what I'm saying, that even black folks will reinforce the cultural conditioning that black people are inferior. Okay, and they will reinforce the white supremacy because white supremacy works on both angles, left and the right. You will have liberals who will claim themselves not to be racist, but a lot of times those that are non-black will push the envelope and they will show that they're racism one way or another. You have those on a conservative side that will try to say that they're not racist, but we know through evidence, empirical evidence, that that is not true. And so that's how white supremacy works to confuse us. We know that we have black folks right now as black people. We need to get on a code. OK, we need to be codified. And unfortunately, we are not codified in 2018. Now, what do I mean by codified? A code of conduct and actions and how we operate. Now, my man, Neely Fuller, he talks about the 9 areas of action and activity. OK, and those areas, and I'll name a few, are education, labor, law, sex, war, OK, politics, entertainment, to just name a few of the areas that we as black people do not control. We don't control the police departments of this country. We don't control the politics of this country. So we have been put to sleep, okay, in our minds mentally to believe that if you have black people in power, that we get results. No, we don't. We still live in a time in 2018 where we're still saying that we got the first black person this, the first black police chief that, the first black mayor this. We have had black mayors of major cities such as New York, Oakland, okay, even San Francisco, where I used to live. I lived in Oakland for 10 years. We've had black mayors of Chicago, black mayors of D.C. I contend that Marion Barry of Washington, D.C. was the only real, true black mayor that was really doing something for black people, which is why they had to take him down, discredit him, set him up in the situation in the hotel room where he was smoking the crack. And we know that Marion Barry had problems, personal problems. No man is perfect. However, they took away his strong mayor ability because he was doing too damn much for black folks. Now, I'll just leave it at that. That's what his history has shown us. But overall, when you look at black mayors, black people on city board, black folks in politics, such as black Congress, a black senator, we don't have much to show for all this black leadership within the city confounds. It's not working for us. It does not equal that we're going to get fair treatment. We had a black mayor. We also had a black police chief of Oakland, California, when I lived in Oakland. That did not stop that group of police calling themselves the Riders from going around harassing black people, planting drugs on young black men that they knew were on probation. Okay. It did not keep them from harassing the community. Okay. And throughout all these cities that have black mayors, hell, even Baltimore, Maryland, where I was born, had a black mayor and has a black mayor today and has had black people in the politics. Having black people in these positions do not equal equality, because even though these black people are in positions, they are nothing but stewards for the power structure that is non-black. Okay. And you know what power structure I'm talking about. So they're only stewards holding the fort down until white daddy can take it over. You got that in the case of President Obama. He was in office for 8 years, holding fort the ship until his time was up. And then we get, by no surprise and circumstances, we get a Donald Trump, okay, who basically reinforces the racism, the white supremacy, and he has done everything he can to lower the Department of Justice investigation of these white hate groups. Okay. Now, what was reported around this issue around Starbucks is that one of the arresting officers, who was given the command by a black officer, has some ties to being a Nazi. He has, I'm going to put a picture up here. He has some ties to the Nazi way of life. There's pictures of him with the tattoos. There's pictures of him wearing the clothing, sort of clothing that you were Nazi-like, haircut that's sort of Nazi-like. And I said this in one of my YouTube videos, that we have hate groups, Nazi, skinheads, white supremacist types that have infiltrated into the police departments, the political departments of this society, the school society, part of this society, all institutions. As my man Neely Fuller Jr. states, politics, law, okay, education, entertainment. They have infiltrated themselves into all areas of activities on this planet. That's right. This is the information man, and I'm just going to keep telling that truth.
Information is power.
That's right. Information is power. So I am going to talk about one Kevin Hart, who also reinforces this sort of buck dancing, massa, we be good Negroes. Okay, because Kevin Hart's from Philadelphia. He tweeted out, he put out there in the social media that they have to make what happened at this Starbucks in Philadelphia, they got to make it right. And as he says they have to make it right, then he turns around and says, but it's not Starbucks' fault. It's the situation with the police in Philadelphia. That's buck dancing, bootlicking, and coon behavior, because it's all one and the damn same. Okay? Now, they were pushing the racism within Starbucks, and the individual that they hired, Zach, as their manager, he is a manager, represents Starbucks. So whatever he does, in my opinion, okay, my humble opinion, whatever he engaged in is a reflection of Starbucks. So if he told these two black men they couldn't use the bathroom. Now, like I said, I've been in Starbucks many times before. I've never seen them say there's a policy where you can't use the damn bathroom. People go in their bathroom all the time. People that are homeless go in the bathroom. Everyone goes in the bathroom. I've gone in Starbucks to use the bathroom and never bought one dime of coffee or hot chocolate. And by the way, folks, you should stop drinking coffee. Coffee is not good for you. So that's the last thing that black folks need to be drinking, is a beverage that's not good for us. We don't need to be spending our money on that overpriced coffee. Now, if you do need to drink coffee, if you do have to, if you got that a caffeine addiction, make it at home or find somewhere that makes a damn better coffee at a more cheaper price. And part of my broadcast, of this broadcast that I'm pushing forth, is that we as black people should never do business with those who do not support us. So I believe that black people wholesale should not support Starbucks. Now, there's rumors out there that white folks are talking about not supporting Starbucks, but I'm talking to black folks because we tend to be the ones that are the victim of this sort of behavior from police. We are the ones that are the victim of being mistreated. We're the ones that go into businesses and we deal with institutionalized racism, prejudice. We're the ones that are always ending up being taken out of establishments because we just sitting there. You know, we're not doing nothing. I mean, I know that you can say, well, other groups catch hell. But last time I checked, you're not seeing Asian people. You're not seeing even Latino people, brown people. You're not hearing incidents of them being shot and killed or being harassed in these establishments like Starbucks the way we are. You're not hearing about that. And you damn sure don't see a lot of them coming to our support wholesale. You'll have a sprinkle of folks that will, and I'll show you some photos. You're going to see, or you are seeing photos on this broadcast. And there's some white folks, some sprinkle of white folks out there in Philadelphia that are, against what happened. You got one of the white men in the video, and then there's photographs that you're going to see as I'm showing these photographs. They're reeling by, who's saying, "Hey, what did they do?" And I heard the audio where he said, "What did they do?" And they never got an answer to that, because when it comes to black men, black people, police don't need an answer to arrest us, okay? And like I said, you have these police departments, the military, the politics of this country has been infiltrated by hate groups. And what allows them to do is that with their badge, it allows them to execute the racism, the authority with a badge to mistreat black people. Now, that is what has been going on for time immemorial. Now, Kevin Hart, to me, this is why we can't depend on black celebrities to stand up, because he's compromised. 1 minute he's saying they got to make this right. Next minute he's talking about, Starbucks is not the issue. But however, Starbucks is a corporation. However, Kevin Hart as a comedian works for a corporation. See, Kevin Hart's been making a lot of money, making movies. And I wouldn't be surprised if someone at the studio, someone in Hollywood called his agent, got in contact with him and said, Kevin Hart, you may want to back off of this, man. Make this right, too, by saying something a little different, because black celebrities are compromised. They make lots of money, and they're compromised by the fact that they are actually operating for corporations as well, called the entertainment industry. And like I said, Neely Fuller stated that all areas of activity that white supremacists manipulate is, like I said, entertainment, law, sex, religion. I should have mentioned that before. Religion, politics. And so Kevin Hart owes black people a hell of a lot more than what he said and how he took it back, because black folks have been supporting him. We were the ones supporting him before he went mainstream. Okay, we were the ones there. So Kevin Hart, in my opinion, gets the big fat Negro please reward. As far as I'm concerned, Negro please. So with that said, let me play the audio from the, I believe, compromising, buck dancing, boot licking police commissioner who goes by the name of Richard Ross, who you can tell he's trying to minimize it and trying to give excuses for the police and what have you. He's a compromised Negro, and I may stop this along the way as he talks. Here it goes, folks.
My name is Commissioner Richard Ross from the Philadelphia Police Department. I know there is a lot of concern and a lot of attention being spread around an incident that happened here in Philadelphia at Starbucks at 1801 Spruce Street. And on Thursday at about 4:40, police received a 911 call.
Let me stop it right there. He said 1801 Spruce Street. So I made a mistake early on in the broadcast and said 1804, but it doesn't really matter because what happened, and that's what stands. The brothers were mistreated, mishandled. And let me put this on the report here of this broadcast. Do you know that these brothers were put in jail and were not released until about 1:30 a.m. in the morning? Okay, so they spent the whole damn whole damn time incarcerated over some BS. And if I'm not mistaken, the store manager of Starbucks, eventually he got fired because the CEO of Starbucks said the arrest of black men in Philadelphia Starbucks was reprehensible, is the word he used. Reprehensible. They use those big words. The CEO of Starbucks had to come out and make this statement, folks, because their bottom line is economics. And that is, they want asses in the store to buy that horrible coffee. They know that the demographics of people who buy their coffees is everybody: blacks, whites, Asians, Latinos, everyone in this planet are buying the nasty Starbucks coffee, the overpriced coffee. So they had to come out with some kind of statement so that their brand doesn't get stained with being a brand that's based in racism. But you know what, black folks, I'm hollering to you right now. No black person with any common sense in their damn mind should be spending money on Starbucks anymore. Don't support Starbucks. That's what I'm saying. See, when people want to say, well, what are the damn solutions, information man? My solution, or one of them, is that anywhere we are mistreated on this planet, economically, we should not support Starbucks. Do not give them a dime of our money. Now, I know Magic Johnson. I want to know what Magic Johnson's got to say, too, because Magic Johnson supposedly is a part owner of Starbucks. At least that's what they want you to think. And he's opened up a few Starbucks in the Los Angeles area and some of the black communities. OK, but what is his opinion? And guess what? The bottom line is, black folks, whenever we're mistreated in any establishment that we attend or put and spend our damn hard earned money, do not spend your money there anymore. Pull out of it. OK, remember back in the day, it was Denny's and there were some undercovered I believe FBI agents, brothers who worked for the government, who were going into the Denny's restaurants and being mistreated, not getting any service, being asked to pay before they get their meal, all sorts of manipulative things that have been going on in our society. So this Starbucks incident, don't look at it as just isolated to just that Starbucks, because according to what they said, it was their policies, okay? But now the CEO wants to come out and say, oh, this was reprehensible behavior and this is not our policy. Now they want to say that because they're getting bad press, and they had to sacrifice the white boy, Zach, who was the manager. And this happens within white supremacy. They are prepared to sacrifice one of their own just to disguise the true nature. Now let's listen to the buck dancing, coon dancing, cornbread, oh lordy, police Commissioner Richard Ross sitting up here giving an apology for these police officers and their behavior, in my opinion.
For a disturbance and trespassing. When the police arrived, they were met by Starbucks employees who said that two males were trespassing and had refused to leave the establishment. According to employees, they had seen these two males come in, they sat down, and after being seated, they decided that they needed to use the restroom. Starbucks said that according to their company policy, they do not allow non-paying members or non-paying people of the public to come in and use the restroom. And so they then asked these two males to leave. These two males refused to leave, and the police were called. Now, when the police were summoned to the scene, they get there and they get this story that I just began to outline. They then approached the males. They asked the males to leave because they're being asked to leave by Starbucks employees. In fact, in an effort to quell the situation, officers actually called for a supervisor so that it would not get out of hand, something that was a good decision.
And the supervisor was a Negro who gave them the command to arrest these two brothers. See, you have people who look like us. You know, just because people are your skin folks don't mean that they're your kin folks. Moving on with this audio, this broadcast.
Different occasions, the officers asked the males politely to leave the location because they were being asked to leave by employees because they were trespassing. Instead, the males continued to refuse, as they had told the employees previously, and they told the officers that they were not leaving. When the call was initially made, the Starbucks employees had told the males that they were going to call police, and they said, go ahead and call police, we don't care. So police get there and they're confronted by the same type of attitude, and repeatedly are told that they're not leaving. In fact, there is some alleged rhetoric about you don't know what you're doing, you're only a $45,000 a year employee.
Let me stop that by the Uncle Tom Police Commissioner Richard Ross. Now, let's say that these brothers did make statements to the police that you don't know what you're talking about because you guys only make $45,000 a year. That's no reason to get arrested. Okay? But see, they want us to be back in the days of slavery where we don't talk no evil, don't see no evil, don't hear no evil, master. Just do as you're told, boy. Get! Now, moving on with the audio. And I want to thank everybody out there who's listening to the broadcast.
To that regard. And so because these individuals refused to leave, because Starbucks actually called, the police did not just happen upon this event. They did not just walk into Starbucks to get coffee. They were called there for a service, and that service had to do with quelling a disturbance that had to do with trespassing. So I need to underscore the fact that these males were arrested. When they were arrested, they were taken out essentially without incident. There was no harm done to them. But after being transported to the police district in the area, the officers, after processing paperwork, discovered that Starbucks no longer was interested in prosecuting. And so at that point, those males were released.
Now, the question that should be asked is, why did Starbucks have no interest in prosecuting these two brothers? But if they weren't interested in prosecuting them, why were they in prison? Or no, they were in the local jail until 1:30 a.m. So it took them that amount of time to say they didn't want to prosecute these brothers until they released them. Now, wait a minute. The police commissioner stated that there was a disturbance at this Blockbuster. The police commissioner stated that they were rude and that there were employees at this Starbucks on Spruce, 1801 Spruce Street in Philadelphia, PA, that the employees stated that there was a disturbance and that these black men were the cause of the disturbance. So if that was true, why did they decide later not to press charges. I argue that they had no case. I argue that because you had white folks that were saying that they didn't see anything that happened, that these black men didn't do anything, that you had a few of white mama and daddy out there protesting about it. Okay, the narrative had changed. I believe that the corporate headquarters said don't press any charges because they were concerned about how it would look in their bottom line in this climate that we're living in American society. Now, I digress, but get back to the audio.
Custody. It is important to emphasize and underscore that these officers had legal standing to make this arrest. Again, they were called to the scene because employees said they were trespassing. It is important for me to say that.
Now, I want to know, how can you be trespassing in a Starbucks when a Starbucks is a public business? It's open to the public, which means you can open the door, you can go in, look at the menu, say, I don't want to order anything today, I'm leaving. You can walk in, use the bathroom, you can walk in, sit down with your laptop, do some work on the computer. People do it all the time. I've never seen white people be treated like this, or any other group of people when they go into a Starbucks. So how can you be trespassing when Starbucks is a business that's open for operation, that has doors meant for you to walk in?
In short, these officers did absolutely nothing wrong. They followed policy. They did what they were supposed to do. They were professional in all their dealings with these gentlemen, and instead they got the opposite back. I will say that as an African-American man, I am very aware of...
That's his way of trying to keep his black card alive by saying, well, as an African-American male, I understand that we deal with stuff in this society. Now, he still want to say to his black community in Philadelphia, hey, I'm still with y'all. See, he's playing the middle, but look at what he's about to say after he pulled out a small little bit of his black card and then he took it right on back.
Bias. We are committed to fair and unbiased policing, and anything less than that will not be tolerated in this department. I just want to share that here we get implicit bias training for all our commanders, and we push that training down to our officers because it's very, very important. In addition, we send all our new recruits to the African American Museum as well as the Holocaust Museum.
Okay, so now he's trying to roll those dice for Snake Eye because he's got snake eyes there. He's pushing we're a sensitive police department because we send our police to the African American Museum. We send them to the Holocaust Museum. Yeah, but you still got a white supremacist cop who was involved in the arresting of these two brothers, commanded by the other black, individual, so-called commander on the scene, who is a part of their police force, and there's photographs of him looking like one of these off-right individuals, straight up Nazi type, So your training is not working, brother. And I'm not buying the wolf tickets and the cookies. I'm not buying the cornbread that you're trying to sell me right now by saying, because we put them to this training, give me a freaking break. That's just more of him trying to play his black card side. But it ain't going to work. No cornbread and gravy for you, brother.
In Washington, D.C. We do this because we want people, our officers, our recruits, to understand the minute they come on board. We want them to know about the atrocities that were in fact committed by policing around the world. This is important to us. But this case also underscores the need for us to continue and expand our body-worn camera program. Currently, we have about 700 officers equipped. Unfortunately, these officers did not have one. But it emphasizes why these things are important, because you get to tell another side of the story. We're a department that's always looking to enhance and improve upon ways that we do things. And in cases like this, we will examine this one and similar ones to see if there are things that we can do better. We have not determined that as of yet, but we will continue to look into this incident as we go forward. But something else that I want to highlight, and let me be very clear. I own no stock in Starbucks. I just happen not to even ever frequent.
So now, once again, he wants to prove to everyone that he has no bias because he has no stock in Starbucks. You notice that he's not making one statement about the fact that the police had nothing to go on. They had no real clear evidence that these brothers created a problem in the Starbucks. Okay, you notice he's not giving you real concrete evidence that they did do something, okay? Because he himself admits that the charges were dropped by Starbucks. Let me move on.
Starbucks, but I can tell you that there was a case involving one of our sergeants, probably a couple years ago, who went to Starbucks in full uniform, and he was also denied access to the restroom. So they are at least consistent in their policy.
See, there he is. See, this is how it works. You swing both sides of the pendulum. This, if I can even call him a brother, he's trying to play the middle. He's trying to play it right down the middle. Smooth like. Okay, now he wants to bring up an incident, an isolated incident. How can you make a comparison in an isolated incident in which you had a police officer who he says was treated the same? And once again saying that this is Starbucks policy, which is why black people, we should not support Starbucks anymore. Okay? Now, this sort of thing happens to black folks all the time when we go into establishments, but he wants to pull out this one incident of his officer. Moving on.
Again, I'm not supporting Starbucks. That is not my aim, only to tell the truth about what I know. So it is important, I felt, for all my words about this incident to be expressed so that they would not be edited. And so you can make your own value judgments based on what you have heard.
Information man.
Information is power.
One thing that I want to go back that I failed to highlight is during his audio, if you heard earlier, in the beginning of it, before I started cutting in and out of the audio, he made mention of the need of having more police camcorders, or the police having cameras, right? And how it's important to enhance that. Yet he admits that these police officers did not have cameras on them. So he's spoke earlier in this audio about the importance of camcorders. He's the damn police commissioner of Philadelphia, Richard Ross. And these cops who walked into the Starbucks and encountered these two brothers did not even have cameras operating on them to be able to show from their perspective what really went down. Instead, it took a woman using her cell phone, putting it out there to social media and making it go viral. So I would say that this Negro, Richard Ross, as a commissioner, has failed in his job, because you talk about camcorders being necessary, but yet you didn't equip them with camcorders, or they were not equipped with them. So what does that say about you and your police department that you're supposed to oversee? And this happens all the time. These police officers are not using these cameras. They're not using these. They're not turning them on. They're turning the audio off. All sorts of funny business going on because they don't want to be exposed in any shape or fashion when they're mistreating us people, my people, black people, special people out there listening. All okay. Let me go into another audio, but let me. Now it still amazes me that Starbucks dropped all charges. Let's make sure we repeat that. They dropped all charges, and these black men were left in the jail till about 1:30 in the morning. You could say that this is good news that Zach, the Starbucks manager, got fired. But like I said before, that was just a way for Starbucks to do what we call damage control. It's PR. Get rid of the guy who caused the problem, which was the white store manager of Starbucks in this exclusive area that they didn't want black folks in anyway. Okay, you get rid of him. So it makes it look like you're against racism, you're against prejudice, that you are a company that's diverse. Okay? So that was part of their game. Okay? I'm going to repeat. Philadelphia has a long history of racism. I remember when I was in high school looking at the visual of what happened with the MOVE organization in Philadelphia. And like I said, black mayors, black people in so-called positions of power, all they're doing is keeping the seat warm for white daddy because they execute the same sort of hate. Because sometimes black folks, we have this self-hate and kind mentality. That's the plantation mentality. Now, it was a black mayor who gave the go-ahead for the police department to burn and kill those black folks that were part of the MOVE incident where they burned down their home, the apartment dwelling that they lived in, okay? They burned it down. They had helicopters flying above, putting the explosives on top of them, and it was a black mayor responsible for that, okay? So a lot of times when you get black leaders, you think that means that they're going to be for us. A lot of times they're not necessarily for us. They're cooking and caking for white daddy. Okay? Philadelphia has a history of racism. Now, isn't it amazing that not too long ago, the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl? White folks in Philadelphia went buck wild and started rioting in the streets. And the police did little to nothing to stop them or to arrest. Many of them weren't even arrested. Okay, there were some arrested, but they did not come down on them. They didn't bring out the military tanks the way they did black people in Ferguson, Missouri, when you had the situation with Michael Brown and black folks were protesting and they brought they militarized the damn police department with military type tanks and military gases that they were throwing out there to scare people. And when those white folks in Philadelphia just this past Super Bowl were rioting, you didn't see the police out there doing that. And I did a YouTube video about that. And you didn't see them out there impacting white folks that were not protesting, but they were rioting over the Philadelphia Eagles winning the Super Bowl, okay? And then you have two black men in a Starbucks at 1801 Bruce Street, a rich area in Philadelphia, and two black men who had no business being there, I guess. It takes 8 cops. They come down. It takes all these cops to arrest them and come down on them, and there was no violence. But where were all the police to stop white folks from rioting in Philadelphia, PA? Now, that's the contradiction. That's the sort of double standard, may I say. Okay? Now, I'm going to play this audio from the Jason Black program. That was a brother who called in. He gave kind of a landscape analysis of the area in question that these brothers were mishandled in. And let's hear what he has to say, my good people.
Well, basically that area is called, it's right near a place called Rittenhouse Square, which I'm sure you're familiar with. It's a more upscale area of downtown. Rittenhouse Square, Society Hill, Old City. So number one, whenever they get a call, the cops just overly respond en masse to protect those bastions of whiteness. So that's why you had 8 cops there, which was crazy. And the commissioner, I've met him, I've been on panels with him, and he tries to play both ends through the middle. He tries to be that black friend to the community, but ultimately he's got to give lip service and he's got to give credence to the racist FOP. And I think this might be his undoing. They just got rid of the Black Fire Commissioner, and I think he's got one foot out, going outside the door. But yes,
Okay, I had mentioned something about their Black Fire, I think chief or commissioner. I said that he was on the hot seat to lose his job, but the brother reinforces the truth because he's on the ground. That individual got fired because he, like Commissioner Richard Ross of the police department, he plays both sides in the middle of the black community. and at the same time betrays the black community. And this is the code that we should play by, black folks. When one of our own is in power, whether it be a mayor, a black police chief, or black police commissioner, black board member of your school board, your commission board of your city, whatever it may be, or your federal government, when they do something that goes against code, we should punish them for it by making sure that we don't put them back in office. We don't support them because every other group does it in their own culture. Why can't we? See, we can't love everybody who doesn't show love to us, even though we've been taught to turn the other cheek from the good book. But we got to discriminate for the best. And we can't have people who look like us in power selling us down the sewer or the road or down the damn river, so to speak. Let me go on with this audio. And I want to thank everybody out there for listening once again. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're following me on speaker.com, don't forget to follow me by subscribing to me on speaker.com. It's under Information Man Show. Don't forget to hit the likes on the YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit the likes on the speaker.com. If you like what I'm doing, I'm on iHeart Radio podcast as well. You can check me out there. Once again, you can check me out on the Google Play podcast as well. And thanks to my man Lion's Den, we're on iTunes. You can get us on iTunes podcast under Information Man Show as well. So I want to thank everybody, and on with the audio.
That area, that's the most expensive area in Philadelphia. That area is right near what's called Rittenhouse Square. And it's so expensive just to live there, to shop there. So it's a place that white people go where they don't even expect to see us. Right, now City Hall. Okay. And you go about 4 blocks down to Walnut and Spruce. That's where the air gets very thin. And from 14th Street, which is Broad Street West, is the upper echelon. That's where the $1 million condos, $2 million condos, all the ritzy, fancy boutique shops and everything is in that area.
Businesses who had their cell phone cameras on, because of course as black males you can't pull out your cell phone camera because you'll get Stephen Clarked or Marquis' husband. They'll say that or Amadou Diallo. You pull out your cell phone and that's what will happen to you. But the white folks who were there, they had their cell phones out. And that's probably the only reason that this story has taken the turn it has. Because remember what I said last night?
Exactly. And I think also now you have they've decided to be situational allies. And Starbucks is just protecting their customer base. Because you got so many white people. Like they did this demonstration early this morning. They're going to do another one Monday morning. You have thousands and thousands of white people saying all over social media that they'll never go to another Starbucks.
Information Man.
Information is power.
So as you heard there, you've got people that are saying they're never going to go to a Starbucks. You got some white folks talking that. They're talking about that there's going to be some protest. And there has been protest. And as you can see on this video that I'm showing you some of the protest that's going on visually. But I want to leave you all with this as I end this broadcast, is that we as black people have to understand what we are involved in, what is really going on. And with that said, I want to thank everybody for listening to the broadcast, because I'm going to leave you with Jason Black's trailer of his upcoming race war movie, because this is really sort of what's happening. Black people, we're behind enemy lines. We're always under attack. You know, the young man who almost got himself shot. Okay, the young man was not a thug. Okay, they attack us. Recently, there was a young man named Michael Brown who got he applied to 20 colleges. He got into all 20 colleges, and you've got people on the newscast making a criticism and saying, why did he have to apply to 20 colleges? Shouldn't it be down to 5? So even when young black males and women are doing something positive, we get criticized, okay? Because they want to keep the narrative that we're thugs, that we are hoodlums. And remember that the N-word is the new, the word thug. Yes, that's right. Thug is the new N-word today. So they use that term thug to characterize us. Keep that in mind, that there's so much coded language. You must be aware of the coded language that is out there. So with that said, it's a damn shame, but this is what America is about. And black folks need to wake up and understand that we're behind enemy lines. We need to stop supporting establishments that treat us like this and get our asses on code. With that said, this is what's going on.
I was on the Los Angeles Police Department for 20 years. I was a sergeant of police when I retired. I'm well aware that there are officers within that agency that have biases and preconceived ideas. So no, I'm not surprised to know that somehow white supremacists have infiltrated the ranks of police departments around the nation.
Race and war. There is a conflict. We're talking about a system, the phenomenal mass incarceration, the police killings. This is a recipe, many people argue, and I think it's true, for a new form of genocide.
The fact that it's always white people at the top and black people at the bottom, that's not some kind of psychic phenomena, that's policy. Those are the consequence of the race war against black people.
Are we in a race war?
All right, I have an opinion on that whole subject.
You know, there's no equality. We look at the system, it's really designed for us to fail.
Are you a white supremacist?
I'm absolutely not a white supremacist. I think that's a word that should be retired. I am a white advocate and a race realist.
When I say this as a police officer, that this stuff happens, I'm not telling the black community something they don't know. I'm just validating and corroborating what they know to be true because this is their lived experience.
A lot of people like to refer to our judicial system as broken. Our judicial system is not broken. It's operating exactly the way it was designed to operate.
This nation was established by Europeans with the idea that it was going to be an extension of Europe. So whites, whether they will admit it or not, don't like the fact that their neighborhoods, their institutions are becoming increasingly non-white.
White supremacy has to do with the idea that I'm better than you. And I can, through power, through manipulation, control anything and everything as it relates to anyone else. I am God.
Information is power.
Information man.